Everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. All right, it's here. My new Stamina Templar, aka Stamplar build for Summerset. It's kind of funny because a lot of people actually looked up a lot of players to see if anybody had come out with a similar build. Once again, I don't want to copy. And nobody's even doing a lot of stamina builds for Summerset yet. So I'm really happy that I'm going to present this build to you today. This is the Berserker. And it lives up to its name because it cannot be contained. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, this is a bow dual wield build. Pretty standard to what we're accustomed to. On the bow side, you're going to go ahead and see max stamina is at 33,686. Maximum health, 19,409. Really nice. My weapon crit prior is 41. My weapon damage prior to any application is 2132. To the left, and my resistance is 16 and 15.3. To the left, you're going to go ahead and see 2 points allocated in health. You don't have to put it in there, but I like to stay between 19 and 20. So if you want to go all stamina with this build, you can do that. And 62 in the stamina. I am using max health and max stamina. If you want to go recovery, you can, but it's all going to be depending on how you maintain your resources. So I'm pretty good at that with Stamplar, so didn't take it. We're also going to be using the Lover Mundus. Okay, now when we switch over to the dual wield side, you're going to go ahead and see. Been waiting for this one. Thanks, Mystic. No problem, Fred. You're going to see, once again, 19, 33, 6, 46, and 15 recovery. Okay. So let's get into the sets here. Okay. We're going to be using the Master Bow. Heads up. With this build, you really want to get the Master. If you want to use Maelstrom, you can. I prefer the Master, and the Master really works out well. Why do I like the Master? Increases my weapon damage by 301 against targets affected by poison arrow. It's like basically putting an extra Hunting's Rage bonus in the palm of your hand when you use Poison Injector. So all your abilities get 301 weapon damage. All of them. Every one of them. It's not just relying on one ability, Endless Hail, like the Maelstrom. This will increase all of your damaging effects. Now, if you cannot get the Master Bow, just use a regular bow infused and get it to gold. You'll be golden there, right? So just a heads up if you cannot get it. But with this build, you really do want an offsetted bow if you can obtain it. So just a heads up. You can also use Asylum, and I'll tell you how to do that, incorporate Asylum, if you cannot get the Master or Maelstrom. Morning, Robert. Okay, so heads up. All right, so Master Bow, infused, increased weapon damage. I want the increased weapon damage instead of poison on this. Why? Because I'm getting 452 weapon and spell damage for 5 seconds. Keep in mind, infused reduces the cooldown, by 50%. That's huge because that helps me maintain what? My increase to my weapon damage. Very, very important. So I'm going to put it infused. I'm going to put the weapon damage increase. All right. So we're going to go also with the Ravager set. I know I've been telling you guys about this. I've been telling you, forget the trial sets. Put them out. Put out anything with Slayer. Get rid of it. It's in the trash. Gone. Over with. We're going to use Ravager. We're going to use 2 daggers if you're a red guard. So if you're red guard, 2 daggers. If you're Khajiit, 2 swords, right? And if you're a Bosner, for whatever reason, then go with like axes because of the stamina bonuses, the way the passes work. So heads up. Red guard, you want the daggers. Khajiit, take the swords. Or you can take axes, but I recommend the swords because of the extra damage. So take swords if you're Khajiit, for God's sakes. And if you're Bosner, take axes. All right? Or you can take swords. But with red guard, definitely daggers. Why? For that extra crit. Okay, so Ravager. What's it do? Where do you get it? Weapon critical, max health, weapon damage. When you deal melee damage, we have an 8% chance to increase our weapon damage by what? 622 for 10 seconds. This effect can occur, guess for how long? Every 10 seconds. So we get a 10-second buff. It drops. We get a 10-second other. right? There's no lapse except for the proc. Really, really powerful with Summerset due to the fact that it's a heavy armor set, and we can what? Transmute to jewelry. Now, if you want to know where to get it, I'll show you guys on the map. So you want to go to Cyrodiil. This is a Cyrodiil. It's a PvP set, believe it or not. PvP for PvE. Hey, man, welcome to Elder Scrolls. So all of a sudden, you want to come here. You want to go to Velastris. That's where you get the Ravager set, right? It costs AP. Drop rates can differ, so just heads up, you might be. But if you want to buy it from the vendor here, your faction has to control the point. Once you control the point, you can buy it. Or buy it on, you know, if anybody's selling it or whatever. But this is a very going to be a very prime set with Summerset. So heads up. All right, so there we have it. So we're going to use a dagger, main hand, increase, Nirnhone. Once again, I want to go ahead and keep that increase up, even if it's at 348 for the swap out. This one's going to be infused with my poison damage. So when I do a heavy attack on my rotation, I apply the poison damage. I get a higher poison proc on my back bar, and I keep that infused proc time. So Nirnhone has to be on the main hand. We're going to run the infuse. We're going to run the poison enchantment on the back infused. So that's why we don't have a poison on this. We get the most out of our weapon damage proc, and then we go ahead and we apply the heavy and poison and maintain the Nirnhone on the primary bar. All right, so there it is. 2 daggers. Okay, Veladrath's Mask, medium. Divine, max stamina. We are familiar with Veladrath. You get that in Cradle of Shadows. Ravager Cuirass, divine. This is all divine, no infused. Why? Because we need penetration. Okay, so if we drop off the lover for any reason, we can go ahead, pick up the warrior. If we do that, we're divine. We're just covering our basics, our basis. So typically I go heavy with the 3 big pieces. With this build, I'm going to go all divine. So all of it. Morning, Heli. All right, because the simple fact of it is I'm getting a penetration value of 4,059. So I want to bank up on that. Okay, so Veladrath's Mask, medium, divine, max stamina. Ravager Cuirass, divine, medium, or heavy. So 1 heavy, this is a 5-1-1. So that's our heavy, this is our light. Veladrath's Shoulders, light, stamina, divine. Belt of 2 Fang Snake. This is our other set. Now, if you're a Khajiit, you don't have to go this way. Right? The only reason I went with it because most people are red guards. This gives me a critical value. Notice the 4th piece, 804 weapon critical. If you're a Khajiit, you don't have to go with this set. You can go with Spriggans, right? Why? Because you get that crit bonus for the Khajiit passive, right? The only thing I don't like about 2 Fang is its scaling. You have to keep applying the damage for the scale effect, but with the most, a billion gold, I'm on PTSD, bro. I'm on PC, dude. I play 3 platforms, brother. I play 3 platforms. I'm busy. Yeah, they take care of you on PTS. That's why I play PC. Okay, so this is going to give us a 40, Colin, what's up? 4,200, right? 4,200 towards our pen on top of that. So we're already looking at what? A little over 8,000 towards our penetration. We need 10 unless we're in a trial scenario with deduction sets. Then what do we need? We need that 6.5. But with this, we have to have penetration. We can make it up if we're using Spriggans. But if you're a red guard, you want that extra crit. Why? Because Ravager is going to give you a critical. So you get 1 critical. You get another critical. And then you got the daggers and the bow passive. So you want to maintain it. That's going to keep you above the 55 mark. It's going to actually give you around 56. I'll show you guys in a minute. So if you're Khajiit, take the Spriggans. If you're red guard, take the 2 Fang Snake. All right. So Belt of 2 Fang Snake, divine, max stamina. Bracers of 2 Fang Snake, divine, max stamina. Guards of 2 Fang Snake, divine, max stamina. Boots of 2 Fang Snake, divine, max stamina. Now keep in mind that 2 Fang is our static set. It will never drop. It'll never drop off. So it's static between the bow and the swap, right? So when you take a look, I have both sets lined up. But when I'm on the bow side, you're only going to see the 5 piece of the 2 Fang, and you're only going to see what? 3 Ravager, right? So there it is. There it is. There you have it. Okay, boots of 2 Fang Snake, divine. Okay, Ravager necklace, bloodthirsty, increase, right? So 1 Ravager necklace, Ravager Ring, infuse, stamina recovery. We want to keep the stamina recovery. That's how I'm able to get away with not having to use Dubious Kimura Throne or any of the other food, because I'm using 2 infused. Now, I have to have 1 ring of Two-Fanged Snake to keep it static. So I'm going to use 1 ring of Two-Fanged Snake to keep the static bonus. I'm going to use the 2 Ravager jewelry, the Ravager Cuirass, and then the Ravager dual wield. So that'll give me my bonus. That'll give me my layout. All right, pretty nice here. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the skills. Bow bar. Okay, no surprise. Pretty standard layout. Power of light. Okay. Poison injector. Big deal for how we use our master bow. Right? Big time difference. I need some gold in real life. Okay, endless hail. Endless hail. Pretty standard. Razor caltrops. On the back bar, we switched it up because we're not, this is a different build. So it's pretty, like I said, standard. Rearming trap, ballista. Back bar. Flying blade. This hit and miss. I just put it on the bar so I have a way to get to major brutality. I have a ranged ability. So I really like it. You know, if you want to put something else there, you can if you're going to use brutality potions. But, you know, I do like it. It does come in handy. Rendering slashes, pretty standard. Our biting jabs, we are Stamplar. Best believe we're going to be using this. Plus, it gives 3 hits. It's a channeled effect. That help keeps the Ravager set uptime at a prime rate. You can't use single target because if you do it, you're channeling, and then you're losing what? Proc time. So you really want to go ahead with the biting jabs. Deadly Cloak. Okay, offers some protection, plus a little bit of AoE damage. Repentance, a way to help us sustain. Flawless Dawnbreaker. Keep in mind, while slaughtered, our weapon damage is increased by 5%. And then in the Fighters Guild passive, we're going to get that nice bonus to Slayer by an additional 3%. So that's 8% towards all of our abilities. All right, there it is. Let's go ahead and get into the champion points really quick. We'll start off, nothing is into the Apprentice. The Atronach. We have 14 points. We have 61 in Master at Arms. That allows us to maintain 75 points towards the passive in the Butcher. Coming over to the Ritual. Now, keep in mind, we have a penetration value set, right? Now, if you are Khajiit and you're using Spriggans, you will scale piercing a little higher than this. Now, this is actually slightly over, but I had an extra 2 or 3 points. This is an acceptable loss for me. So 2,067 into piercing. Keep in mind we can make up those differences. Thaumaturge 21.18. Remember that biting jabs is a channeled effect. It's considered dot. Plus we're using razor caltrops and endless hail. All dot effects. 21.18. Precise strikes 1208. Equivalent value of the Shadow Mundus, making it what? An indifferent curve. Mighty 1301. Coming over to the Steed, 40 in the Ironclad, 17 in the Spell Shield, 51 into Medium Armor Focus. Remember, we got to get those resistance up there, guys. Hardy, 10.15. Elemental Defender, 10.15. I am not a vampire. I don't feel like you need it. If you want to, you might have to scale this a little higher, but that's where it's at. I didn't put any into Thick Skin. If you want to drop down Spell Shield and Medium Armor just a little bit, you can do that. So let me show you how we can do that. I can drop this down to about 36 with the comfortable. Drop this down to about there, and we can go about 6% if we want to. 5. That's fine. And then you can maintain your resistance up a little higher. Okay? So just a heads up. Quick recovery. Remember, guys, stamina users don't have shields. Quick recovery comes in handy. Why? Because you're getting more towards your healing received. Very important here. Coming into the tower, we have 23 into Warlord, 19 into Sprinter. Want to maintain stamina pool, especially if I have to run around between mechanics. Tenacity, 1301. Mooncalf, 14. 7 into Health. I have a few points left. 31 into Tumbling and 31 into Shadow Ward, and that is how the champion points are allocated. Now, it's very important here. I'm going to show you guys something. Now, the Master Bow isn't going to be reflected when I proc it into the character sheet. So that 301 isn't going to be reflected except in tooltip, not character sheet. So the damage modifier will go up in tooltip, unfortunately, and in your noticeable damage. However, you won't see a reflection in the character sheet except for the 452. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so the only thing I want to do is I'm just going to proc up here. All right. Almost 4,000 weapon damage. 56 on our critical value. We're at that above that 55. We're hitting 4,000. We're getting the extra weapon damage towards the ability with the master. There it is, said and done. Get rid of everything else. Tell them Mystic Raven sent you and they can kiss my ass. There it is, guys. Said and done. This is the Berserker build. And I know all those PvEers out there are going to thank me for this. I appreciate it. I'm really happy with this build. I told you guys first how it was going to go down. Nobody posted up. And guess what? I'm going to follow through, take the turnover and follow through. There it is, guys. Said and done. I'm Mr. Raven. This is CSO Daily. This is the Berserker. And once again and always, thank you. And have a nice day.